Stories really highlight the crucial role of proactive consumer experience management, which can play a significant role in sustaining brand loyalty and perception.
When it comes to purchase, there are so many ways you can go, and it really depends on what category you're playing in, what your business stands for, who you are, and what you're looking to do.
Building a brand is much more than just crafting a visible identity. It's really about embedding your promise into every interaction.
Strategy should not stop you from taking action. Action is incredibly important, so doing something is better than doing nothing.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. This is your host Maheen, and we're back again with another episode. Today, we're diving deep into the art and science of consumer understanding and brand development to explore the threads of successful brand and consumer dynamics. Joining us today is Vanessa Toperczer, the Senior Vice President at IMI International. Vanessa's work is at the intersection of insight and action, guiding marketeers in the C-suite to make decisions that not only accelerate their business, but also maximize their return on investment. With a career that spans across agency, brand, and consumer insights, Vanessa brings a wealth of knowledge in driving brand transformation, growth strategy, and more. Good afternoon, Vanessa. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege to be here.
It's likewise. It's quite a pleasure to have you here, sharing your insights and your journey with our listeners today.
Anytime.
Now, Vanessa, building a brand is not just about a logo or a slogan. It's really about creating a promise or keeping a promise and creating a reputation, right? In your experience, what are the core elements that contribute to building a sustainable brand?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in this day and age, and actually the fundamentals from many years ago, and have always been tried and true, is the foundation is to build a strong, trusted brand. Trust is number one. Over 80% of consumers purchase because they trust a brand. And at the core of that is really the reason why you want to drive and build a trusted brand is because it will defend against price. People will try you easier, try your innovation easier.
Mm-hmm.
You'll drive recommendations from friends. You'll be forgiven easier after a bad customer experience. And we all know that it is very difficult as a business or a brand to not have a negative customer experience at any given time.
Right.
And so if you have the foundations and if you continue to add value to your consumer, that will ensure that you build a very strong, sustainable, trusted brand.
Right. Now, you also mentioned something about innovation. Like, how do you really balance innovation with brand consistency, especially in such dynamic markets?
Always make sure that you are responding to your consumer, and always make sure that you are building sustainable innovation that is always adding value. If you're not understanding who your consumer is and you're not adding value to your consumer, and you're going away from your core, then you're not going to build a sustainable innovation pipeline for the future. Always understand where is the biggest value for you and your business. Where is the biggest value for your consumer, and how do the two intersect so it's a win-win scenario at the end of the day?
Absolutely. No, it's quite clear that a strong brand acts as a foundation for consumer trust and loyalty, which are so invaluable in surviving this competitive landscape. Building a brand is much more than just crafting a visible identity. It's really about embedding your promise into every interaction. As we delve into what makes a brand sustainable, consider your own brand's core values. Are they resonating with what your consumers expect from you? This conversation might redefine how you think about your brand's long-term strategy. Now let's discuss the drivers of purchase, Vanessa. Understanding what drives purchases is essential for any marketing strategy. From your perspective, what are the most common or impactful drivers that influence consumer purchasing decisions today?
It's amazing that you asked that, because we are asked that at IMI International all the time. And we are constantly in market, understanding consumers, understanding what's driving their purchase behavior, their habits, their passions. We have a database of 4 billion data points, and I actually mean 4 billion data points that we mine and to truly understand what's going on in the consumer's minds. When it comes to purchase, there are so many ways you can go. And it really depends on what category you're playing in, what your business stands for, who you are, and what you're looking to do. The core fundamentals are always building your brand, building a trusted brand, adding value. So pricing plays in on that, so the quality and price equation, but then also looking to understand promotions.
Right.
Never build your brand just on price. It's a race to the bottom from a revenue and profit perspective. However, promotions, people do look for deals. And so you have to find the right balance of that. Presence, make sure that one, they know that you actually exist. Because if you're not out there, you don't exist to consumers. And two, make sure that you're present where they are. So whether it's online or it's in store, you have to make sure that you have a presence and always be relevant, compelling, and always be better than your competition.
That was beautifully put together. But how have you seen these drivers change in the recent years, especially with so much of the digital transformation in marketing?
Lots of hype around change, especially since 2019 that we've seen. But truly, obviously there has been an influx of online, but really we haven't seen online search elevated since 2016. Social obviously is playing a new role in consumers' lives, but the fundamentals still stay tried and true. Recommendations have grown. So making sure you keep that brand trust and you have the recommendations from friends and families online as well. Anything, so 4.8 in terms of a rating online is great, 4.8 and above. 4.3 and below, you might as well be at a 2. And so you have to make sure that those fundamentals stay tried and true. Again, a lot of hype around change. Yes, some change with the digital age. However, those fundamentals are still true, and in-store still resonates. And purchase because of in-store has grown, in fact, alongside of the digital revolution.
It's so insightful to see how these drivers, evolve, and how brands must adapt to stay, relevant and compelling in a consumer's journey.
Always.
Now, finally, let's focus on the detractors, such as consumer experience issues, which can, impact significantly, especially with the brand's image, right? Vanessa, what are some common pitfalls that brands should avoid to prevent negative consumer experience?
That's a really good question. So let's actually talk about the grandeur of that first in terms of customer experience. Over $30 billion is lost annually due to frustration, due to a customer experience alone. $30 billion. So imagine as a brand and as a business, what you could actually proactively gain or not lose, however you want to look at it, by just providing a positive customer experience at every single touch point of the journey. And that goes from online to also in store. We know that 80% of consumers actually want to shop in store now. So yes, there is a place for online. Online is very important. There's a play for both. But online detractors such as hidden fees, too many questions about about who you are as a person can detract the customer experience and can actually help you lose trust.
Right.
Pricing, not being able to find what they want. The interface, is it easy to interact with? And then when you talk about in store, it's the first point of contact is really the most important. So what about your front line? That impact of your front line on the customer experience. Are they around you too much? Have they not said hello when you walk in the door and just said, can I help you with anything? Going all the way to in-store and not being able to find what it is that you want. Pricing as well, value. There are many different things that can detract the consumer experience.
Right.
The most important thing to understand is, how is your business performing? What are some tensions that are going on in your business? And how can you best hit those off at the pass before you lose that $30 billion that can be lost just due to frustration alone.
Wow, you've listed out quite a few detractors. And
There's
now
a
that
lot.
we've discussed those, we'd love to hear like a success story where a brand successfully addressed these detractors to enhance the consumer experience.
I'm glad you asked that. There are so many stories. The first that obviously comes to mind is the tried and true story of Starbucks, where they really built the foundation of their brand on the customer experience and the delivery of their product. And then they did have a shortfall for a number of years where they were expanding way too quickly, and they removed focus from their core, is what happened. And so what they did was they went back to their core. They enhanced the customer experience. They understood what really their play is in the market. They enhanced their products. They trained their baristas even more so that experience came back to them. That's one. My favorite is actually KFC.
Okay.
So KFC, their customer experience was not beneficial when it came to their fries. And they basically said right out very authentically, our fries suck. And they said that, so I can say that. And I also know the director of marketing there. But what they did in terms of the customer experience there, in order to gain ground with their fries, is they actually came out with a campaign. They said, we acknowledge that you don't enjoy our fries.
Right.
However, they introduced a brand new product with a new campaign to try to enhance that customer experience and bring people back.
Wow.
Very successful and very interesting.
It's interesting because these stories really highlight the crucial role of proactive consumer experience management, which can play a significant role in sustaining brand loyalty and perception. Navigating through consumer tensions isn't just about problem solving, it's really about unlocking potential. And as we move into how identifying tensions can lead to transformative solutions, really think about the challenges your own business faces. Like, how could a deeper understanding of these tensions reinvent the way you approach solutions? Vanessa's insights could be the key to your next big breakthrough. Now, moving to the role brands play in addressing these consumer tensions, it's clear that identifying these tensions is so crucial. Vanessa, can you please describe a scenario where identifying a key tension has led to a transformative solution for a brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple that come to mind from different vantage points, because I know that your audience always comes from different vantage points, and so you can't always paint everything with the same brush.
Sure.
One is in the beverage industry, with environmental concerns obviously being heightened among consumers. There was a tension between Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, and the pop brands in terms of the impact, the negative impact that they are having on the environment.
Right.
Their response was that they launched into fully recyclable bottles. They also launched into bottles made of recycled bottles. And they also launched into so many different initiatives that had to do with preserving water, and all the way through their operations, making sure that they addressed the concerns of consumers. Another tension, again, in the food category, but on the pizza side, is pizza coming out of the pandemic.
Right.
People were concerned about finances, not as many as we hear from the media, but there are people that are obviously concerned about their finances, and so they launched a new campaign about freezing the price of their pizzas.
Right.
And it was launched in a really fun way, because also coming out of the pandemic, people wanted to see joy and people wanted to feel happiness. And that was a tension that they solved, but they did it in a way that the consumer was going to respond to very positively, coming out of a very tough time.
You've shared some great examples because they beautifully illustrate, how deeply understanding these tensions can lead to such effective and creative solutions. But from your experience, Vanessa, how do you recommend companies to you really identify and prioritize these tensions?
The way that you need to prioritize intentions is to really understand one at the core. It always goes back to your core and your foundation. What business are you in? What does your brand stand for? What is your reason for being in the consumer's life? And what is your purpose? Now, purpose obviously has a couple of different definitions, but purpose in this is what is the purpose of your brand in the consumer's life? Then understand what are the tensions going on either within your category, so with your competitors, then you can find a gap and you can find a white space to go in and solve that tension that is fundamentally aligned with your business, or understand what's going on in the broader landscape as it relates to your consumers. What are their concerns?
Right.
What are they thinking right now? And then understand how is it that your brand can effectively release those tensions. And then what you do is you prioritize them based on what is going to be relevant to your brand, what is going to be relevant to your consumer, but what is also the biggest opportunity for you from a revenue and a profit perspective?
Right.
Is it going to be a heavy lift? Or is it going to be a lighter lift? So is there going to be a pull on your profit, or is it going to play into your profitability at the end of the day? So a lot of different things to look at to prioritize, but staying true to who you are is absolutely important. And don't just try to chase the shiny object because everybody is talking about it. Just because everybody's talking about it doesn't mean that it's effective for your brand.
No, it's great points made, and you really just put it up as a step-by-step guide, which can help our listeners understand this a bit better. But let's take a step back and really understand our consumer, because you really emphasize the importance of understanding one's consumer base. Vanessa, on that note, could you share some effective methods or tools that businesses can use to better understand their potential consumers?
Yeah. Well, at IMI International, we obviously have a lot of different tools to help our clients and help businesses effectively understand what's going on in the consumer landscape and also what's going on with their brand specifically. And those lend from very simplified tools to very in-depth, depending on the business need. The key really is you don't have to be overly complex.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that complex. It could be as simple as watching. It could be as simple as listening, seeing what's going on online. What are people saying about you? To then also going out and asking them what's going on in their mind, asking them how you're doing as a brand. Understanding where your challenges are, understanding where your barriers are, but also understanding where do you actually have strength. And so what strength can you lean into versus your competition that perhaps can make you better than competition and still relevant and and compelling to the consumer that you want to talk to.
This is a fantastic approach to really bridge the gap between data and insights. And on that note, Vanessa, how do these insights directly influence decision-making processes at the strategic level?
Insight. So one, much should start with strategy. Strategy should not stop you from taking action. Action is incredibly important. So doing something is better than doing nothing at all. At a strategic level, the way that you would dissect the consumer insight is to truly understand what is going to be important for your business,
right,
and what is going to drive you forward, so that you can truly understand what is it that you should be focusing on to best connect, what is essential, and then what are the things that maybe perhaps are your secondary or tertiary focus areas, but what is going to strategically drive you forward is incredibly important as you look to devise your strategy.
So this is so helpful for businesses that need to stay closely aligned with the consumer's preferences and needs. Listeners, as Vanessa just highlighted, the importance of truly understanding our consumers, it's quite crucial for us to think about how well we know our own consumers. Are we looking deeply enough into what makes them tick, This insight is a first step towards transforming any business and aligning closer with consumer needs. Really reflect on this as we explore the next vital component for our discussion. Now, as we wrap up our insightful conversation, Vanessa, I'd like to hear any advice, any final piece of advice that you'd like to share with the listeners who are navigating the complex landscape of consumer insights and brand strategy.
Lots of takeaways that I would have on every step of the journey. I think that, what could be really helpful to this audience specifically is truly understand what is your foundation and what is your brand strategy. Who are you looking to talk to? What are you looking to say? How can you best compete? What do you stand for? Why should they actually choose you versus somebody else? And then understand, where do you need to be to get that message out? And always the message before the medium. So don't
beautiful.
jump onto, I have to be on TikTok, I have to be on
Right.
Facebook, I have to be on the medium. It's what you say that is absolutely important and integral to your business over the medium.
Vanessa, before we let you go, we'd love for the audience to reach out to you in the most effective of ways. Can you please share with the audience how can they connect with you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, I am always open to talking about brand strategy, brand insight, and helping businesses grow small to medium to large. So please reach out to me if you have any questions or just want to have a chat about how to fuel your growth at VTOPERCZER@consultimi.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Vanessa Toperczer. I'd be happy to chat.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for sharing your expertise and really enlightening us on the critical aspects of consumer understanding and brand development. I'm sure our audience will find, these insights true to use and make their business outcomes more effective. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And that was the end of our discussion with our guest. To our listeners, we hope today's episode has inspired you on your digital journey. Thank you to our partners, RBC, UPS, Zero, Constant Contact, and IHG Hotels and Resorts. We appreciate your comments and feedback. Please subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast and visit canadiansme.ca and smepodcast.ca for more updates. Until next time, keep striving for excellence, stay tuned, and stay inspired. Thank you.